Hello, everybody. I am Calvin Bowden with the Bowden team with Keller Williams Realty, and welcome to Bowden's Box. Today, I'm honored to have author, family man of the book Who Gives a Fico, Lawrence Martin, in the house today.
Thank you, Calvin. No doubt, the pleasure's all mine, my man.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. So it's an honor to have you here. A lot of people don't know this, man. We've been knowing each other for a while.
Yes.
We've been knowing each other for a while.
Yeah.
He recently came out to our 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Yeah, I was out there.
Yeah.
Doing a little something.
See, he's being real modest about it.
Yeah, I was, a little something.
He beat us in like 13 seconds. His team came out there, man, beat us. It was for a good cause, so we kind of let him win.
Yeah.
But,
I know. I knew you guys were just playing around, just for, charity.
That's all it was for.
Yeah.
Just for a little fun, man.
Have a little fun.
All about the kids.
Yep.
We didn't care about winning.
Right.
We wanted you to lose, so you end up right here.
All right. I thank you for that, man. I definitely appreciate it because I didn't want that L, so I appreciate it, letting me win.
But a lot of people don't know, though. This guy can play some basketball. He can play some ball. And he's a great family man. 3 kids. Been married for a long time, man. Has a beautiful wife, beautiful family. But we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Who gives a FICO?
Who gives a FICO?
Who gives a FICO, man?
I don't know, man, but you need to watch your words.
Hey, it's your book, brother.
Hey, brother, watch what you say.
Who gives a FICO?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
who should give a FICO?
Who should? All right. The concept of this book is about people knowing what the FICO score is and the purposes of it. Okay. In most cases, most consumers are looking at FICO scores through the lenses of Vantage 3.0, which they get the scores from Credit Karma. And if they're a little witty enough to know that 90% of lenders are using the FICO score for a lending decision, they still get that wrong because they're looking at their bank card score, which is given through their credit card companies, or even their bank will give them the bank card score. And when we talk about real estate and we talk about mortgages, those scores are not the scores that are used for a lending decision for a mortgage.
So it's a different score than what they're giving me?
Yes.
To buy a house? Okay.
Absolutely. So one of the key things that I point out is there are FICO scores for industries. Okay, you have FICO scores for the mortgage industry, the insurance industry, the auto industry, and also credit card companies.
Okay, all of them are different.
All of them are different because they have a different formula that FICO uses to assess the risk for each industry, and it makes sense. So I often give this analogy: Coca-Cola will give you the ingredients, but they won't give you the formula. The formula is a secret, but the ingredients itself, they'll give you the ingredients. It's the same way with the FICO score in the FICO scoring model. We can teach the ingredients that goes into the formula, but we won't teach you the secrets of the formula.
The secret sauce.
Yeah, the secret sauce.
Okay.
Right. So the first thing I talk about, and one of the first things that I address is most consumers are looking at FICO scores or credit scores through the lenses of a consumer. When in fact, FICO scores were never created for consumers in the first place. They were created for lenders to make a lending decision on their file. That's the reason why the Fair Isaac Company created FICO scores in the first place, right? Okay. It was to assess the risk of borrowers so that they can make a lending decision based on those risk class that they set up. And they created a scoring model. They're using numbers, creating a scoring model to assess this risk. So when consumers look at their scores, they're thinking about how many points can I gain with certain behaviors, okay? And this is where a lot of expectations are lowered, or people don't have the proper expectations when it comes to how to actually look at the credit scores themselves. I'll give you an example. So if I'm late on one of my accounts, it may cause maybe a 30 to 90 point loss in that one late.
On a drop?
Yes.
That
one
many
late.
points?
That many points.
One mistake?
One mistake.
Wow.
One mistake.
Wow.
That's how severe it is. Okay. So now within the lates, one of the things I point out in the book is there are 3 categories of lates. There's frequency, there's recency, and there's severity. The first one, what I talk about is recency is the late that hurts you the most is the late that was most recent. Okay. Now, if you continue to be late and you show a pattern of late, so we call those frequency lates, meaning that you're late frequently. You're
all the time.
You're late every month, maybe 60, 90, 120 day late. That's when your credit scores really take a dip, and there's a lot that you have to do to get those scores up once you've been late so frequency. Okay. And then there's a third category of lates, which is severity, meaning that you're late all the time. You've been late recently, and also you've not addressed the late issue as of now. So your lates move into a category called severity. Okay. So those are some of the key things that I talk about in the book, basically trying to make sure people understand and not trivialize being late. Right? Because this is a risk class. So on the flip side of that, Calvin, think about it. What points do I get if I'm on time?
So how does that work? So if I'm late 3 months in a row, can I just pay 3 months in advance and then be caught back
right
up?
See, that's the problem. So it's not the system is not set up for if you've done more positive things than you've done negative things. It's set up for risk. That's what people have to keep in mind. Like, it's not about, okay, I've done all the right things. It's, have I done all the right things and avoided some of those derogatory items that can hurt my credit score while I'm building? Because it's all about building a reputation. Yeah. The FICO scoring model is set up to protect lenders, because just like in the mortgage industry, if the typical loan on the FHA loan, for example, you're going to put 3.5% down. So the question is, Calvin, what is the amount that's going to be financed? That 96.5%, which is going to be based solely on credit. Okay. So if I'm going to give you, let's just say if it's a $300,000 house and you put down a certain amount, and I'm going to finance 96.5% of the rest of that, that's a lot of money.
It's somebody else's money.
Right. So specifically the mortgage industry option score, which lenders use for the mortgage industry itself, that score is going to be a little bit more protective than the scores used for other industries, because there's a lot more risk, a lot more money involved, even though there's collateral being assessed with that as well. Wow. So that's just one aspect of it.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like this book, Who Gives a Fico, goes deep.
Oh, yeah, it gets a little deep, man. Definitely.
I see you're excited about this,
oh,
man.
Yeah.
It's a passion of yours. How did you come up with the idea to write this book, and why is it important to you? Because I see the fire.
I see. Well, here's the thing. You get new home buyers every year. There's always going to be somebody buying a home for the first time. Okay. And you have to take them through the same thing. Like, well, this is what you got to do. And some people are kind of stubborn through the process. They don't want to, they don't understand it. So I said, okay, well, let me dial back and explain why their scores need to be a certain way and how they need to build their scores, as opposed to just jumping in and tell them, okay, they need to get 3 secure cards, they need to have an installment account. I actually explain in the book why those things work and why they need to do them quickly, all right, to build that reputation.
Education.
Exactly. So one of the stories I share in the book is when I first even heard about credit, or when I got out of my parents' house, and I went to a buy here, pay here. The guy pulled my credit, and what he told me was, he said, well, you don't have any credit. And I'm saying, cool, that's understandable. I'm 19 years old. I've never, had a credit account, never had a credit card. That's fine. But the next thing he said kind of like shook me up a little, like, well, no credit is worse than bad credit. Ooh. And that concept of no credit being worse than bad credit, that was my kind of a leeway to me kind of thinking about credit differently. Like, I haven't did anything wrong. Why am I being penalized for having nothing on my credit? I should have something, right? Something. And I've seen credit reports, because I've been in this industry 3 or 4 years, almost 4 years now. And I see on credit reports where people don't even calculate a score. Wow. FICO won't even give them a score. Experian, if they go on these certain sites, a score won't even populate because there's nothing there. So within the scoring model of FICO, it takes 6 months to actually populate a score that needs to be reported to all 3 credit bureaus.
6 months.
Yeah. So there are some very detailed things about building a score if you're just starting off or if you've never had credit cards. Because here's another misconception. Most people who never had credit, I hear them, it's like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I've never had credit. I've never had credit cards. Oh, I don't touch that. I stay away from that, you know. And they listen to certain financial gurus, right? And I try to make a distinction between what credit is and what debt is and how it affects our lives. Whether you use it or not, you're being affected by it.
Right.
Your financial health is still being affected by it, whether you use it or not. So I try to make that point. Like, you can actually go the route of no credit at all. You can do that. But you're going to run into some real hurdles in certain industries. Just like I said before, there are certain industries that we actually use credit for that don't have anything to do with borrowing money. Okay? Everything we do with credit is not about borrowing money. It's really about a good name.
I heard that. And that's what's in this book?
Yes.
That type of education?
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, man.
We giving them the juice today. That's all.
I see. But you're not going to give us the secret sauce. You're giving us the juice.
We're giving them the juice, man.
I like it, man. I like it, man. Well, you know, hey, much success, man. Continuous success within your business and your book. If you haven't received it already, go out and get